Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Tuesday, November 25th. It's our last day of new content for this month. We'll be doing our monthly reflection tomorrow. And Annette, to get us started, I was hoping you could review for us what we ended last week with and what we talked about yesterday. Get us up to speed.
I would love to do that. I always love to review.
It's so nice because we do talk about so much on the podcast and then combine that with normal life.
If you said, well, you hadn't been in the podcasting studio for a week, I would say, yeah, that sounds...
I believe it.
I believe it, but it was just yesterday that we were in here.
I know. Feels like it's been a lot longer.
A lot has happened.
And if it feels a lot longer for us, it's going to feel like a lot longer for everyone else.
That is true. Okay, so we started toward the end of last week. We were concentrating on, well, what if we have no idea about what our why is? Because that's what we do here a lot. We got us all back to this whole theme of the month that's all about meaning. It's all about purpose. It's all about being authentic. And we talked about letting go of those old identities. And then toward last, I think it was Friday, we started talking about, well, okay, I am willing to let go of these old identities. I'm willing to let go of some of these masks. But what can get in the way of that? The thing that gets in the way the most is your inner critic. Your inner critic can run the show and you may not even know it. So the first step is to become aware of how much influence your inner critic has on your life, on your thinking, on your actions, on your decisions. That inner critic can be running the show. We can't really do anything about it until we bring awareness to it, and then we can. We also talked about moving from fear to love. The only way to do that is to be willing and have the courage to look at some of these feelings. So that inner critic could be running the show and we realize it. We need to get to know it. What is it feeling? What is it needing? And that can bring up fear in its own right because some of our feelings can be hard for us to look at. We can be triggered. We might need some support. And Ada and I will always say, get support. Find a counselor, a therapist, your friend, a coach, someone who's willing to walk this path with you.
Thank you for sharing that because I remembered after we stopped yesterday's episode, I thought, dang it, I should have brought up at the end, if you need support in any of this, please go get it.
Yes, and don't be shy about that. I just finished Melinda French Gates' book.
Who is she for the people who don't know?
She is Bill Gates' ex-wife. She wrote this beautiful book the next day. And there's all little anecdotes in there and resources. But one important part of her life and getting the support that she's needed is she started going to therapy 10 years ago. And this book just came out. So she's been going to therapy for 10 years. The first therapist didn't quite work out. So she got another therapist, and that therapist has been with her for 10 years. She will say, and she says it multiple times in the book, make sure you're getting support and also keep up with the support. If you find a therapist that you resonate with and you have a nice relationship with, don't stop seeing them. Keep going. I think the same as a coach. Don't stop coming to coaching just because life might be getting a little better. Keep going, because if you have a coach that's continuing to grow themselves, they will have more to teach you. They will have more to process with you. So getting that support, especially when we're going from fear to love. When we're going from fear to love and looking at some of these difficult feelings, challenging feelings, talked about grief yesterday, all you need is a little willingness. But actually what we should have said, Ada, is a little willingness and a lot of support, depending on the situation. So that's where we've been. And now today we wanted to introduce the very last little tool for you when you're not sure of what your why is, but that inner critic is starting to get in the way. You've brought in the self-awareness. You're practicing feeling the feelings. What else can you do? You can practice the pause, because our fear-based part of us that we all have will want to blame us or somebody else, wants to go into blame somehow. There can also be a lot of shame, and we see this in coaching quite often, where someone will be in the part of our coaching where they're starting to get very clear about their feelings. And inevitably, there will be some shame there. We've seen this over and over and over again. I want to normalize that. When we start feeling our feelings, we might feel some shame, but we have to realize that shame is more fear-based than love-based, because love says you were doing the best you could with the tools and awareness and understanding that you had at the moment. Fear said, I should have known better. Why did I do this? Why did they do this? Oh my gosh, why didn't I speak up? Why was I not the person that I really wanted to be with them? All those various forms of fear. Or we catastrophize. This is the worst thing that could have ever happened.
It's going to last forever.
It's going to last forever. Quick review, because I want you to understand the trickiness of that inner critic. Number one, it can run rampant until you bring awareness to it. Two, it may not want you to feel your feelings. So you're going to bring that little willingness in so that you can start feeling your feelings, so at least you know what's going on inside. And you're going to get support if you need that. And most of us do. And then you're going to start recognizing how fear shows up. It'll go into blame. It'll go into shame. It'll go into catastrophizing. And what we want to do is we want to practice the pause. Been listening to the podcast for a while, you know we always say practice the pause. But here we want to add on something just a little more to it. We want to practice the pause and make the choice to return to love. We don't have to stay in fear. We can return to love. What does that mean? Return to having compassion for ourselves and others. We return to having grace, compassion, and action. We return to love and saying, I didn't have the tools then, but I do now, and I can show up differently. Or, I don't know the tools. I don't know the tools, but I know that I can learn tools, and I can show up differently, and I can choose love. So that inner critic that's keeping us from understanding what our why is, the inner critic does not have to win. The inner critic will dissipate as we practice these steps and we choose love over fear.
So our intention for today is, when I notice my inner critic, that fear-based voice inside of me that blames, it shames, and it catastrophizes, I will practice the pause and choose love over fear. Love for myself, love for others, or just plain love, whatever the situation needs. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are a part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.